So, Legend of Korra. Gonna be one of our biggest undertakings, our biggest one since Scooby-Doo, at least by terms of episode count, and maybe even bigger in terms of shit that actually happens in it. It's the follow-up series, the sequel series to Avatar: The Last Airbender, the best thing Nickelodeon put on in the past decade, and it takes place 70 years in the future with the next Avatar and, all the stuff she's got to do in this new world that is formed in the wake of the events of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. The Roaring 20s!
Yeah, it's the 20s, so it's cool.
It's also steampunk.
Yeah, I feel that in the interest of not spending a lot of time on this, we should assume people are at least reasonably familiar with the show, so we shouldn't spend that much time, going over who the characters are as much as we should focus on analysis.
Okay.
I agree.
Let's just start with we'll go season by season.
All right.
Season 1 was they're called books. It was Book 1, Air, following up Last Airbender's books, which were Water, Earth, and Fire. This one covering the last element as Korra, who begins the show at an older age than Aang was, having already mastered water, earth, and air and firebending.
And we saw that when she was a baby. She already knew them anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she's mastered them already. She's got a great grip on them. She knows how to use all of them effectively. This is her learning airbending, and instead of learning it in her home nation or traveling abroad like what Aang did, she learns everything in the newly formed metropolis of Republic City, which is East Asian inspired 1920s type New York City.
Yeah.
It's
more or less, yeah.
And we should mention it's also important to mention that before this she's never not been in the South Pole.
Yeah. And the reasons why are expounded upon more in seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah.
It takes place in it's shaped exactly like New York City.
Yeah. You've even got Aang's statue as, the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that's happened with this show in terms of fan reception of it is that it's constantly being compared to Last Airbender, often to its detriment. An interesting thing you pointed out to me, Nina, and I don't know if this was on the show. I don't think it was.
No.
That, at a point in, 2014, everybody regards Last Airbender as a masterpiece, as a largely perfect body of work. That was not how it was seen on the air. It was under constant criticism and, fan bombardment for not living up to whatever expectations it set. And now that it's over, everybody loves it and is comparing the new thing to it. This is going to be a recurring theme when we talk about Teen Titans later.
Yeah.
So, as is often the case when a show has such a huge pedigree behind it, it's subject to possibly more strict criticism than it deserves. I don't think it's necessarily invalid, but it makes it kind of hard to appreciate the show on its own merits because it constantly has to live up to its predecessor.
I just don't like how, it's one thing to criticize something if they're just I have this one gripe, I'm just not even gonna watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Are you serious, bro?
My problems with the show aren't because it's not like the original show, it's what the show that's set up, sometimes they don't always execute it the best way that they could, and it makes me sad.
I agree.
But that's only because I like it so much.
The show is very good, but it's far from perfect, and a lot of its flaws are pretty clear. One of the biggest problems that the show has, especially in Season 1, is pacing. The Season 1 was 12 episodes long and could have used an extra episode or two to breathe. Especially the latter half of it is pretty breakneck.
The finale was very
What was
fast.
that?
Yeah. No, I was agreeing with you. The finale was really breakneck. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, the finale...
As soon as they found, what's his face in the prison.
Yeah, I was digging the everything that was happening until the finale, and I was just like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, and Season 1 doesn't do a great job of balancing a lot of arcs. A lot of stuff gets introduced and wrapped up in the same episode, like the Bolin, Mako, Korra love triangle. Like, that is wrapped up in one episode.
Yeah.
Which is a shame
because
a lot of the stuff with, like, Bolin and Korra was a lot of fun and was really endearing. And was a lot more...
Yeah.
It felt a lot more real than any of the other dating stuff that the show has done.
Yeah. I guess I would say that. It just, none of the relationships have really had a chance to blossom because there hasn't been enough time, because there's been all this other stuff. The first season didn't have enough time because when they were creating the show, they thought they were only going to have one season and it was just going to be a mini-series.
Which was also true for Airbender.
Yes. So they're like, okay, let's just do this one little story. Let's hit all the bases. And, then we'll be done with it. And then, of course, Nick was like, oh, we want 3 more of these. And they're like, oh, cool. Now we can space shit out a bit more. But that doesn't really fix the fact that the first season was pretty, crammed at the end.
See, one thing that, you can't compare it to Avatar is that, Avatar had one arc. Or not arc, but, like, one goal. There was one villain, one obstacle, and one clear goal the whole time.
And you knew the steps that it was going to take to do it. You knew you had to learn the elements and then defeat the Fire Lord. You're like, okay, I know. And the show stayed within that structure. And I think that's why a lot of people, think so highly of it, because it's like, yeah, okay. Whereas Korra, it's a lot harder to tell where it's going because it's not this one overarching structure at all.
Yeah, there's a new villain and a new conflict in each season that is concluded at the finale of the season, and that's even been the case after season 1. What's interesting, Last Airbender was actually kind of video gamey in its structure. He went and he got the 3 crystals and then fought Sephiroth at the end. Whereas if you were to compare
it was a hero's journey.
Yeah, if you were going to compare the plot of Korra to a video game, it would be Okami, in that it's like 3 games they put it on one disc, and then at the end they kind of wrapped it up. But, like, there are 3 final bosses in that game, 6 hours apart. It's a good value, but it's like, you beat Orochi and you're like, is this it? And then there's, like, 2 more games in it. They knew the game wasn't going to sell, so they just put the 2 sequels in there.
I do, honestly, I like that about Korra, though, because, like, Aang went on your typical hero's journey, but then with Korra, it's like, where's it gonna, like, I basically never have any idea what's going on, and I love it. Yeah,
no, I mean, there's no reason to do another hero's journey after you've already done it. It's like, let's do something different, and, let's actually really attack more than one issue that the Avatar has to deal with. Instead of just one thing.
I absolutely agree. As reliable as the Airbender structure was, doing it again would be boring.
Yeah.
We've done Avatar. It's great. We've got the DVDs. We watch them all the time because it's a great show. More of the same is often what people ask for, but it's not what they really end up liking more. I mean...
Oh, yeah. People don't know what they want. Like, pro tip to anybody trying to create things, just in general, don't listen to fans when they tell you what they want. They don't know. Just keep doing stuff. They'll like it.
So the character dynamics in season 1 largely work. Like the Korra Tenzin dynamic is great, and it's been great from the jump. It's great in every season, and it evolved very naturally. They're not stuck with the same exasperated teacher, headstrong student thing anymore.
Though they did go back to that in season 2 for some reason, but we'll get to that later.
But yeah, season 1 just had trouble, balancing different arcs. No, I don't remember any episode juggling multiple arcs successfully the way that Last Airbender or later seasons of Korra did. Like, once they wrapped up pro bending, then it's just like, okay, go, we gotta kill them on. It was... Yeah. The pacing was better before pro bending ended.
Yeah, like, the pacing was pretty good in the beginning. Like, I was looking forward to every episode. Like, this world is so cool, and look at all these cool people, and look at everybody's babies, and like, oh...
Yeah,
and then things, got like, whoa, okay, it's too much.
Yeah, the show is, it very much feels exactly like the same world. It feels like it's definitely the same world as the last one, but 70 years later. Technology's improved, socio-political structures have evolved. There's a lot of cool nods to the original series without being overbearing, like Cabbage Corp.
Yeah.
Not my Cabbage Corp!
There's a lot to like in every season, despite all the stumbles.
Yeah.
Season 1, also one thing I noticed, because I had to slam jam the first 2 seasons in the last couple of days. Season 1, like Tooch mentioned, ends kind of, not anticlimactically, but on a smaller scale than we're used to.
It was kind of disappointing because...
The final showdown with Amon is like 45 seconds long. She kicks him out a window, and we're done.
Yeah, and
Basically.
I mean, I guess spoilers.
Seasons 1 and 2 are completely on the table in terms of spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you haven't watched Korra at all, you're not even listening to this right now. I'm talking to no one. Okay. You're not going to click on an hour-long podcast about it. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but the thing that was really frustrating for me was the whole, he took away the bending thing, and then there was no
consequence to it.
Consequence. She just got it back, and that was it. There wasn't any let me take an episode to just be oh, I'm so sad, what am I going to do? This is everything that's ever meant to me. This is what my whole life is about, my love. And then we as an audience, we get to really see more of Korra and why all this is so important to her, and she would grow, and then blah, 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 blah. But, no, they didn't have time. They had to tie everything up with a little bow.
An epilogue would have been great.
It was very Deus Ex Machina, where she was just super sad, and then just Ghostang taps on her shoulder, just hey, what's up? And then just gives her a bend.
Deus Ex Machina has been a huge part of every season of this show, and season 1 is the most frustrating one because it really does feel like a cop out. They copped out of an opportunity for character growth. Now they did try,
especially since I felt it could lead into season 2 really well because.
It's all about spirit.
It's all about spirit. So it's okay, she has airbending, and now she has a motivation to be connected to the spirits because she needs to get her powers back. And, they can just, have her get her powers back. Maybe not take the whole season, but, that would have been nice.
Yeah, I mean, they try to make it the whole, we're most in touch with the spirits at our lowest points thing. They tried to make that it really felt like them more covering their tracks than any kind of real artistic vision, which is, in TV a thing you gotta do. You gotta compromise a lot. But, the end result did suffer for it, and it's failed to criticize it for that.
My guess is they needed a cop-out to give everyone else their bending back. It would have been cool to see Korra get it, suffer with her bending, but then we've also got,
Lynn.
A dozen other people.
And Lynn had the best action
Lynn.
scene in season 1, when she's tearing up that blimp. Lynn?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Lynn was the best in season 1.
Lynn is the best, just period.
Yeah, but especially in season 1. She kind of suffered a bit, I think, in season 2.
Oh, she was barely in season 2.
And a little bit season 3, but
she had a cool arc in season 3.
Yeah, she had
and
a
we
really
saw her in...
I have some problems with the arc, but we'll get to that when we get there.
That's fair. Also, seeing her tear around in that tank top a lot was cool.
Oh, yeah, no, she's just awesome. But again, in that, the scene where she loses her bending was really powerful in season 1. They really, hit it home, wow, oh my god, this amazing sacrifice that Lynn made. Milo's when I grow up, I want to be like that lady. What an amazing human being. And then it's oh, okay.
Yeah.
No more sacrifice.
They also didn't have any time to explore what that meant to her. She's also part of a huge bending legacy, but they just didn't have time to dwell on it because, I remember, watching that episode on TV at 11:30 in the fucking morning on a goddamn Saturday. We're gonna get to that too. At the end of it, shit just got fucking real. But we don't see that much of the consequences of the greater scope of shit. Again, they just didn't have time.
Yeah. Which is
I am wondering why they only got 13 episodes.
It was 12.
Even more ridiculous, because I told you guys about this off the show, but If you guys, like, after you're done with us, if you want to listen to another podcast about Avatar and Korra, the two shows' creators actually got interviewed by the Nerdist podcast, and I listened to that, and apparently, like, I really don't know why Nickelodeon only gave them one season, because Nickelodeon was so confident, they didn't even tell them they got a second series until after they had already decided to greenlit them. Like, they called them up and was like, oh yeah, by the way, you guys got 12 episodes. Like, click. Like, oh, okay, I guess we have to make this show now. Like, they hadn't even pitched Korra.
Yeah, and 12 episodes is kind of a short season for a standard American kids show.
Yeah, like, and especially if you're going to make it a sequel to an extremely ongoing, long-form show.
How many seasons were in each episode of Airbender? I know it wasn't. I'll look.
How many episodes were in each season?
That's what Is that not what I said?
No.
I'll find
you
out
said how many seasons were in each episode, which is what Korra feels like sometimes.
Yeah, that, and I'm really tired. I've literally spent the entire day since I woke up watching Korra.
That's really cool of you that you rewatched everything, because I didn't rewatch anything.
No, and I forgot a lot of stuff. I forgot a lot of things that bothered me, and I forgot a lot of things that I liked.
Yeah.
And I also hadn't seen season 2.
Yeah, that too.
Each season of Airbender got 20, except for the finale, which got 21.
All right, yeah, so that's, a good chunk more.
Yeah.
With that kind of time, imagine
That's
how...
almost double.
Yeah, imagine how good this could have been.
Yeah, it would have been
how much better?
Like, so outstanding. It would have been like, we wouldn't have had anything to complain about. Very much. We would have been like, Mako's kind of a jerk, but
Mako's
whatever.
Kind of a boring jerk.
He's Batman, and they didn't do anything with that.
No.
That's another thing that bothered me.
He's Jason Todd.
Yeah,
That's another thing that bothered me.
Season 1, they did nothing with Mako.
No, and it's like, they actually did do an origin for Mako and Bolin. It was like a little short on Nickelodeon.com.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why did you already blow your load on the background for these two main characters on a little short online that's not part of the actual show?
I've never seen that. I hope that's at least on one of the fucking DVDs.
It's cute. It's like it's animated all different.
Yeah, it's got a different art style. It is cute, but it's like, it would have been nice to be in the actual show, because... the two boys need some help, I think.
Because, Bolin is likable, being this show's answer to Sokka, and filling those shoes pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bolin's another one that's just top tier. I love every second he's on screen.
He's getting much better, and every season he's getting better and better, and he's getting more substance and stuff to do. In season 1, he was really just like, I'm funny, but... By season 2, it was like, I'm funny, but also other stuff.
Adorable.
Yeah. And then season 3, I'm funny and awesome.
Well, he was awesome in season 2. That's like...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The movie finale scene of season 2 might be my favorite scene in the whole show.
Where he just tears his sleeves off and just goes to town.
And everything's parallel to the stupid film. I love that film because I'm such a huge fan.
Oh my god, that scene is amazing.
I'm such a huge fan of, like, bad acting in bad movies, in universe. Like, I mean, my favorite strong bad email is Danger-esque 3. That should probably wrap it up. But yeah, like, I love how it's so terrible and it's played so straight, and like fucking what they do with Pabu and Naga.
Oh yeah, and they make him talk or whatever.
They make him talk and they do the fake high fives.
No, that was great. Bolin was great in season 2.
Yeah, Mako.
Speaking of movers, so is Varric.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get to Varric when we get all the way into season 2 because he's my favorite character.
Yeah, he's the best.
Mako in season 1 did nothing except be inexplicably attractive to women and be pretty good at throwing fire around. They found stuff for him to do in later seasons, even if he never got completely interesting.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the best jokes in season 3 is how they almost write him out of the show in the first episode.
Yeah.
Oh, season 3 is just, let's shit on Mako because that's what you all wanted.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, he deserved it. I mean, I understand that they have more ideas in mind, but they didn't really get a chance to make us feel bad for him at all. You know, like, I still like him. I don't hate him, but it's just like, you know,
like,
I could use a break from you.
Yeah,
you didn't
like,
have a chance to justify your actions.
I've been conflicted about Mako, because the one time it's like, you know what, he deserves this, but at the same time I'm like, let's maybe work on improving Mako.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, let's wrap this. So I'm really hoping, because, like, not to get too far ahead, but I'm honestly really believe that Season 4 is just going to be the second half of Season 3, so let's hope that they wrap shit up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Season 3, the ending of Season 3, which we're not going to go into right yet, is the most open-ended of, well...
It's the best ending they've done.
They
Yeah,
they even go so far as to introduce a character, and then just that was her.
Yeah.
You'll probably see her next season, I sure fucking hope
that
so.
That was weird, yeah.
Wait, who?
That one random soldier lady that they, like, zoomed in on for a second.
Yeah, they
like,
were like,
hi, I'm this character.
They were like, thank you, and she's like, my name is blah, blah, blah.
And then they zoom in
blah,
on
blah,
like,
blah.
a deliberate cinematic, just, like, zoom in, like, a whole another scene frame, like, story.
One of the metal benders who saved Korra's dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then,
yeah.
like, they just never do anything with her anymore. And then I was like, see you Season 4, I guess.
We'll see.
But yeah, back to Mako.
Yeah, he was so underwritten in the first season, and they're just trying to catch up and simultaneously trying to make him more interesting and also just kind of making fun of him as a character.
Yeah.
Well, Season 2 tried to make him more interesting, and by Season 3, they're like, we're just going to roll with it.
See, they almost succeeded. Like, Mako was definitely more interesting, like, objectively, but he wasn't... he could have been handled better.
Yeah, like,
I liked the whole, like, I liked his angle as, like, I liked the whole, like, I'm a cop now angle, so he tries to be, like, super cop. Like, I like that.
Oh, yeah, I love him as a cop. He's great as a cop. But the whole relationship thing, and the back and forth, and the cheating and stuff...
Yeah. It's just not engaging.
It's not it's that, and also, it's very problematic. Like, I understand... On one hand, I think I sort of get that they were trying to do a very sort of mature thing, in a way... Like, especially in Season 2, where Mako is just, like, using Asami as sort of, like, a rebound, in a way. And, I remember when that scene first happened, I was like, wow, I can't believe they're going this way, because, like, he and Korra's relationship wasn't really good, and then he was like, she's into me, my girlfriend sucks, I'm just gonna go with this. And that's what I got from that scene, but at the same time, it's like...
The one in the warehouse?
The one in the warehouse, yeah. And I was like, that's interesting, but I don't know if this is, like, the right time for this, or...
Yeah, like as it was super awkward, and is like that's another thing I'm conflicted by, was in terms of
because that's a very human thing to do.
Yeah, like, I believed that scenario happens every damn day in every high school in America. But it's like, you also have to consider that, like, two grown men are sitting in a room writing this purposefully, so it's hard to disassociate it and believe it, because it's like, why are you just shoving this, honestly, soap opera-esque romance? Like, she gets amnesia and forgets they broke up, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we just move into Season 2, or we have to talk about Amon and stuff.
Yeah, we got to do villains, but like, one thing I just want to say, like, one thing that it made me think of is, like, it's completely possible to love two people, and and like, what are you supposed to do in that kind of situation? I think that's an interesting setup that, with more time, like, if they had an additional 8 fucking episodes, they could have made that really interesting, because that was his situation. He loved two people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I legitimately believe that Mako had feelings for both of them. He's just an idiot, so that's why that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, in Season 1, they never show him and Asami properly breaking it off.
No.
He just sort of drops her.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
so that's shitty of him, too.
Yeah, and they never really showed any of the relationships. Either the relationship between him and Asami, we didn't get to see very much of it. And the relationship between him and Korra, like, in Season 1, it was just like, oh no, Korra, I'm gonna rescue you. Oh, Mako, I'm so happy I have my powers back. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Like, what is... Really?
Well, the stuff with him and Asami is basically just like, you guys did so good in the sports match. Hug, smooch, and then Korra's like, blah.
Yeah, like, I got the feeling in season 1 that, like, Mako was just like, wow, this Asami girl is really hot. Also, she's rich? Yes. Whereas Asami was, like,
She's
actually...
a really good driver.
Asami was, like, really charmed by him.
For some reason.
I don't know.
He's got, like, a...
Scrappy,
you know, he's a self-made man.
He's handsome.
I can see where she would be coming from. But, yeah, like, the date between them, you know, I bought that. I would have liked to see more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because if you are going to do relationship stuff, then, you sort of need time to do it. That's the thing. Otherwise, it just comes off like Romeo and Juliet, and the whole point of that is that teenagers are stupid with their relationships.
Yeah.
But yeah, villains. We've got Amon and we've got Tarlock.
Yes.
I need to have a page open on my computer right now with all the waterbender names because they're the same.
Yeah, I was gonna say Unalak. Which one's Unalak?
Unalak
was the season 2 guy.
Season 2.
And what's the name of her dad?
Oh, I don't know. Korra's dad.
Katara.
Katara.
Like Toralock or something. Anyway,
these are dumber than Star Wars names.
Yeah, so we got
actually not.
We got Tarlock, which was cool. It gave D. Bradley Baker the chance to voice a human in the series. Who and you know we do a voice actor breakdown. He did Appa and Momo in the first one, and he does Naga and Pabu in this one because the man, he's really fucking amazing at animal noises.
Yeah.
This is kind of a piece of news. A while back, John DiMaggio, voice of Jake the Dog and Bender, are his two most notable roles. Made a documentary called "I Know That Voice." Nina and I saw it on demand. We threw down like $2 or $3 for however much it costs, and it's on Netflix now, at least in the U.S.
Is it?
Yeah, I cannot recommend this documentary highly enough.
I rented it on iTunes.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and there's one point where D. Bradley Baker's just like making animal noises while like drinking a glass of water. He's just like, brr, brr, but like they sound good, and he's just like drinking water. The best part of that documentary, by the way, is the current voice of Porky Pig breaking down how to do the stutter.
Yes,
like he breaks it down super slow, and then he just slam jams like 30 words in a row. It's insane. Like he shows you how to do it, and then he does it so much better than you ever could.
Yep.
That was the highlight of the documentary.
Oof,
yeah,
so good.
Oh, we should if we're going to be talking about voice talent, we should just run off who everybody's played by while we're here.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Korra's voiced by Janet Varney. Mako's voiced by David Faustino. Bolin is voiced by PJ Byrne. Asami is voiced by Seychelle Gabrielle. Tenzin is voiced by J.K. Simmons. Lin Beifong is voiced by Mindy Sterling. Maria Bamford voices Penma. Jinora...
cool.
Yeah.
She is my favorite voice actress.
Jinora is voiced by Kernan Shipka, and D. Bradley Baker voices Naga, Pabu, Oogie, and Tarlock.
Oh yeah, Oogie.
Oogie is Tenzin's bison.
As far as I can tell, Janet Varney has no relation to Jim Varney. My dad asked.
Oh, and Steve Blum was Amon.
Of course.
Daniel Day Kim was Asami's dad, and Yakone was voiced by Clancy Brown.
Oh, he's...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love Clancy Brown.
He's so cool.
He is the coolest guy.
He's Mr. Krabs, for those who don't know. I would have mentioned more voice credits for the other actors that we mentioned, but I don't know them. They're not super well known, and I'm pretty deep into this world.
Yeah, I'll talk about Book 2 reoccurring cast and Book 3 reoccurring cast when we get there.
Right. So, What? Yeah, so Amon as a villain. It's interesting is that there's a lot of sort of a political edge to this show more than Airbender, especially seasons 1 and 3. 2 not as much.
Yeah.
2 is more the high fantasy magical villain.
Yeah.
This guy was, his whole goal was to end the oppression of benders over non-benders, which is not an invalid argument to make when you live in a society where people are determined genetically to be magicians. Obviously there's going to be a power disparity. All the cops are benders. All law enforcement, it seemed like all people in places of political power are benders, but that's not confirmed. We've never seen the president bend. We never saw 3 out of the 5 councilmen bend. But leaders of each of the nations are all extremely skilled benders.
Yeah.
And there is a weird...
Not the
fact
Earth
that it's
Queen,
I don't know about the Earth Queen, but the fact that it is genetic, it is something completely outside of your control. That there's something to that.
Yeah.
And I think they actually did a decent job with that angle.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fascinating angle.
And there was the idea presented that, we do got to keep in mind that, these non-benders are human, and we need to be conscious of how much physical might we have over them and how much that gives us the opportunity to oppress. Mm-hmm. I feel like, again, with more time they could have gone into that more, but I don't think it was a total cop-out like, say, Pokemon Black and White. Ask me about that some other time.
Yeah. And I mean, as the show has gone on, we've realized that that's sort of a reoccurring theme in the sense that we have these figures who rise up and they have different views about what balance is supposed to be. And all of them think that the Avatar is no longer necessary in this new world.
Yeah, that is a theme, and that's hammered home as a connecting theme in the finale of Season 3.
Yeah. But, and Amon, he's like, the fact that there are benders and non-benders is unbalanced. I'm going to fix it. And the Avatar is the worst offender ever because this is a superhuman who essentially has authority over everybody.
She's the biggest wizard.
Yeah, she's the Grandmaster Wizard. No, wait, that's the KKK. But to him, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Man, fuck the KKK.
Yeah.
I hate those guys.
Uh-huh.
They're not my favorite.
They're not
but anyway.
They suck. They really do.
They're not my friends.
And Tarlok as this, slimy politician playing everybody he can to rise in power is, it also works. Villains were good. And, obviously, Amon's combat ability, him being, untouchable. There is kind of a thing in this series where all the villains are, really super powered. Because it's fun to watch these, titans have a super critical clash with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will accept, everybody being kind of overpowered if it, leads to these great fight scenes.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to justify it for them. Because it's been 70 years later and interbreeding has been more, accepted now, it's possible that there's just a higher chance of more powerful benders because there's all this, diversity and, benders of all different places are having babies with all other kinds of people. So there's a chance that, over time, bending does become more powerful.
And also the techniques have more time to develop.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I was talking to a friend at work who had a problem with the fact everybody's a metal bender, everybody's a lightning bender, everybody's a blood bender. That last one's not true.
Yeah, because now there are books. Now you don't have to find a master in the middle of the woods, travel to a town.
You don't have to journey on a flying cow for half a year to find one guy in the swamp. I'll teach you how to finger your butt, whatever.
Or even if you're just in the Earth Kingdom, you live in a small town, it's you don't have access to a wider breadth of knowledge. If there's not an earthbending master in your town, guess what? You have to figure shit on your own, and you're not going to be as good as if you live in a society where there's radio and mass media and more advanced civilizations.
These kids and their cell phones.
You know what it is? It's globalization.
Yep.
Yes.
So that was the thing in Last Airbender, you know.
It's very isolated.
You know, nobody in the Southern Water Tribe really knew how to do it. Katara had to move all the way across the world to find somebody to teach her. Mm-hmm. Whereas now you can find people who know what they're doing anywhere. Just the knowledge has proliferated and the techniques have had a chance to advance. That's what happens when technology increases. I buy it.
Yeah, totally.
And you also brought a good point up with the idea of genetic diversity strengthening the gene pool.
Yeah.
That's also real.
Totally. I mean, there's probably more benders now than there ever were before. Because...
Yeah.
I mean, hell, two of the main characters are mixed race.
Yeah. There's a chance... If one of your mom had, if you're like with Bolin and Mako, you know, there's a higher chance of being a bender if your parents are both come from bending families of different elements.
Oh, also see Aang's kids. They're mixed race.
Yeah. I guess it's from the Earth Kingdom? I don't know where Padma's from.
I mean, just like statistically, she's probably from the Earth Kingdom. It's really big.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one thing I wanted to mention. This isn't germane to any season in particular, but I do think it's very important to the show, and that's its sort of its feminist edge. You know, the first series, Last Airbender, was a very empowering show for girls.
Yeah.
You know, so many extremely strong characters, both heroes and villains, were female, and they didn't make that big of a deal about it. Although they did, especially in Season 1, have a couple of girl power episodes where they're like, just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't fight.
Yeah.
Which oftentimes is something you just need to do, even if it often comes across as very trite.
Yeah.
By the point of Korra, it's just a given that women are just as capable as men in these traditionally male roles.
Yeah.
So I feel that in a sense it's even more empowering that they don't have to spend any time explaining that that's true, and they can just demonstrate it as a given. I think that's important stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Korra's just the avatar. Like, period, end of story. There's been female avatars before, and she's a really powerful one.
Yeah, and she's just really good at kicking people, which is, you know, the main thing that kids are signed up for. The studios fought the creators a lot on making a female hero because they're always thinking about marketing and demographics and how this kind of show can't be marketed to girls. You have to market it specifically for boys, which means you have to cater it for boys. They thought that boys would not want to see a female hero in this kind of show. They showed it to boys, and they're just like, yeah, I like how she kicked that guy. Yeah. They just want to see somebody get kicked.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Kids are very in many regards they're very simple, especially boys. They just want kicking.
Or especially because, like, one thing Korra is good at is lifting up entire people, sometimes several at a time. I'm pretty sure in, like, the first episode, she just picks up Tenzin's entire fucking family and hugs them.
Oh, yeah, she's just super strong.
She's got guns!
Yeah.
I remember that was the first thing.
Yeah,
it was just like,
everybody was
promo,
like, her arms are so
image.
big, I love it!
Yes!
And
It
still,
looks like she could punch a mountain.
Yeah.
She probably has.
And then moved it with her earthbending.
Yeah, it's good character design that this person who's ideally supposed to be the most powerful martial artist in the world has a martial artist's build.
Yeah.
That's important shit to do.
That's
like,
nice.
Just character design. I don't care that she's a wizard. She should have muscles because you gotta punch the magic.
They're constantly moving all the time. It makes me tired looking at them.
She's still gotta do those flippy dodge moves.
All those flippy dips.
So
Avatar: The Last Air Wizard.
I am the first to say that, I try my best to have a good understanding of feminist theory and critique and everything. And obviously I am a feminist because I'm not a shitbag. Those are your two options.
Yep. Likewise.
But I will be the first to admit that I am not an authority on this matter, but from my opinion, this show does a good job in that regard.
I think so. It's a good balance.
I always default to you because...
I'm the only girl.
You're both the only girl, and you're just generally smarter than me, so...
Nina's the girl.
I'm the girl.
On our TV tropes page, eventually, Nina will be the girl. That'll be her trope.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, I mean, it's just like the original show. There's just a mix of different characters. Like, To the point where it's... I mean, I'm not one of those feminists that's just like, oh, I'm going to do a tally of every female character, but, like, you do notice it. Like, oh, there's a lot of girls and a lot of guys, and it's all equal, you know? Like,
and it passes the Bechdel test a lot.
Yeah, and it's just, like, it's not like an all-girl cast. There's a bunch of dudes, too, and they're cool. Like, Tenzin's awesome, and, you know, like... It's just great. It's just a great cast, and it's balanced. And why it's so great is because it is balanced, because you have the two different perspectives of the different genders, and they're different kinds of girls and different kinds of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diversity means your show's not going to be boring.
Yeah, it just makes things more interesting. Means. You know, Asami and Korra are very different kind of girls. You know, Penma and Lin are very different kinds of women.
Even Ikki and Jinora.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jinora's awesome.
I love Tenzin's kids. Tenzin's kids are the best.
Yeah, his one great kid, and his two shitty kids.
Pretty much, Jinora is like the greatest airbender in like centuries, and Ikki and Milo are just like fart bending.
I love that, like, when they designed Milo, they set out to make the ugliest child. Like, not even lying. That's what they wanted to do.
I noticed today, because, like, I watched so much of both seasons 1 and 2. His tooth grew in between seasons 1 and 2.
That's cool.
Great. Good for him.
Good Milo.
Yeah. So, can we move on to the specifics of season 2 now, or is there anything else about season 1? If there is, I guess we'll remember it and come back.
I feel like we've been juggling both, but I feel like, we should definitely get deeper into season 2.
Yeah, let's move to season 2.
Yeah. Season 2, I feel, is the one that's come under the most criticism, and a lot of it justified. It started out really chunky.
It is my least favorite.
Korra was written pretty poorly in those first... The character was written pretty poorly in those first couple of episodes.
Yeah, they basically hit the reset button on her. Like, you know, Korra's a hothead. You know, she's got a very different personality than Aang, and it's a great personality. She's a great character. In the first season, they did a lot of cool stuff with it. But the second season, they kind of just... all the lessons she's learned and all the growth that she had, they kind of just threw it out the window and made her take a bunch of stupid pills.
Yeah, like...
And it just didn't feel like the same person. It felt like a Korra, like, even before season 1. Like, this is, like, a really underdeveloped person, and I don't think that's right, because we've seen her go through all this stuff, and we know she's learned things and she's growing. Why is she reverting back to a child?
Why is she played so easily by Unalaq? Like, it's so obvious, like, not just to the viewer, but to the other characters, that Unalaq is plotting shit, and she trusts him way longer than she should have.
Than anybody.
Yeah, like there's a point at which, you know, it's you know, believable that she would trust him with the whole, like, learning how to get more in touch with the spirits and everything. But, like,
and he's
by
family.
the time the warships went into harbor, she should have been done with the guy. The fact that she wasn't done with the dude then really broke my suspension of disbelief. Because her home, her fucking home's being invaded.
Yeah, I feel like the Korra, if she was real Korra, would be like, the fuck are you doing? You know, in her Korra way, you know, it's still Korra being like, Unalaq, what the hell are you doing? I trusted you. Why are you attacking my home? Blah, 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 blah. But we didn't get any of that crap. And I was like, but isn't that what she would do? I think that's what she would have done. It's not what she did. So season 2, we've got some new characters. We finally...
you say it.
Okay. We finally get to meet the other child that Aang and Katara had, Kaya. She's voiced by Lisa Eldenstein. We get introduced to a fan favorite, Eska, voiced by Aubrey Plaza.
You made the common mistake of thinking she had a regular name. Here's the thing. Aubrey Plaza is a good actor, and she's also been good in animated roles. She was pretty good in Monsters University. She was terrible in this, at least in the beginning. And I think it was probably a thing of voice direction, or her just not feeling the character. I thought she was really bad.
I know a lot of people... You're kind of in the minority here, because I watched the season premiere of season 2, with a group of people, and everybody was digging it. Like, They loved Eska.
I felt that she was laying on the kind of monotone, emotionless thing way too much. Because that's already kind of her bit. Like, as an actress. We haven't... As an actress, she hasn't displayed that much range. She might have it, we just haven't seen it because everybody wants her to keep doing April from Parks and Rec.
Totally.
Yeah.
And she was doing even more kind of monotonous and detached than April. And it didn't work for me. And again, like, it's something that she kind of loosened up a bit as the series went on, which could have just been her feeling out the character. And I mean, unlike, say, live action, the voice work is done in a much shorter span of time. But that still doesn't mean that you can't get more in touch with the character the longer you go on. Or maybe just the voice directors got better at it.
I mean, it's not much of a character.
It isn't, but I just felt her delivery was so insanely flat. And it just bothered me.
Okay.
I can definitely see that. This is like objectively, this is her most monotone. This is her most April role. She's more April than April, so I can totally see people not digging that.
Yeah. Who voiced the other one, Desna?
He's not immediately made apparent. Oh, Desna. Aaron Himmelston.
Right.
Himmelston. We also get to more formally introduce to Korra's mom and dad. Like, we saw them briefly in the first season, like when we saw how they discovered Korra as the Avatar. Korra's mother, Senna, is voiced by Alex McKenna, and her father, Tonrak, is voiced by James Remar.
Tonrak, that's the thing. Because the thing with Water Tribe names, and this has been the thing for this, that they use a lot of hard Ks and, like, it's like their native language has fewer letters. Or something like that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of... It's very nested. There's a lot of repeating sounds in their names.
And they're a bunch of hard sounds, Sokka, Tonrak, Unalaq.
Katara.
Yeah.
And then who voiced Unalaq?
Adrian Latorel. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page. And then Varric is voiced by John Michael Higgins.
Who voiced Rumba, Juan, and Vatu?
Juan was voiced by Stephen Yeun. Y-E-U-N. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Rava was voiced by April Stewart. Vatu, voiced by Jonathan Adams.
I don't know any
Great
of those
Delisle.
people. Who did Great Delisle play?
Great Delisle played like a lesser dark spirit. And I think...
Jason Marsden was the lemur spirit.
Yeah, I was going to say he was the lemur guy.
And also,
he was good.
I've recently been like, say the right guy, because James Marsden's somebody different. And I think we may have said that wrong on an earlier show. James Marsden is Cyclops. Jason Marsden is Chester McBadbat.
Actually, the original voice of Chester McBadbat was Frankie, back when he mattered.
It's Max Goof.
Yeah. Maximum Goof.
Man, when are they going to put the first Goofy movie on Netflix? Extremely Goofy movies on Netflix, but not the first one. Fuck off, Netflix. For the longest time, Ghostbusters 2 is on Netflix, but not Ghostbusters 1.
What is this, Comedy Central?
I mean, I guess it's the real... it's the same problem. Anyway,
Season 2 is kind of a pretty significant shift from Season 1, because Season 1, was pretty much just in Republic City. So Season 2, they let us see what the Water Tribe is like now, 70 years in the future. Cause
and it's much more expanded.
Like we said before.
It was very rustic and small in Last Airbender.
Yes, the Southern Water Tribe was just completely decimated. Like, it was just a tiny, nothing little village.
Teepees. Whatever. They weren't teepees. I know there's a difference.
Like, there's more people in Walmart than Noon.
Yeah, so it was cool to see how the Water Tribe was able to grow, and the two nations were able to, converge and grow a little bit more. And then it was cool to sort of still compare the difference between the South and the North, because That is such a weird thing that they're the same people, but they're like as far away from each other as they possibly can be. How can they have the same traditions?
Yeah, that's honestly pretty whack, but whatever.
So we see that the South is a little bit more, it's less regal. Like, the North is still pretty like, oh, look at all these beautiful ice buildings. The South is still more like,
we got
we're
a bunch
just
of ice. We got way more ice buildings than we used to, but we're still in touch with the streets.
Yeah, we're down to earth people.
We are still collectively Jenny from the block.
I just looked up one of the names that you mentioned, April Stewart, who voiced Rava. Like, it rang a bell. I don't know why. She voices every mom in South Park.
Oh, great.
So, yes, more season 2. It also had that pretty interesting... Like, this show has had a problem, I think, with pacing out its exposition dumps. Season 1 had the attic of exposition in the penultimate episode. This season...
That was terrible.
This season took 2 episodes with the story of Avatar 1. Now, they made it interesting by doing a different art style.
I think that was the highlight of the season.
It was really cool.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the redeeming qualities of the season. Even people who despise Korra now because of season 2 said, yeah, but Juan was great.
I'm trying to remember... Okay, that art style was based off of an ancient style of East Asian painting. I'm going to say, again, that okami thing, which I think is called sumie, but I might be wrong. I'm not an art scholar.
I don't know either, but it's like the ink painting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it looked like okami. Is the thing I can say with the greatest authority. It was such a it was in another look at this world, because Korra is already another look at this world, because 70 years of difference. This is 10,000 years in the past.
Yeah, it's like, how did all this shit get started? And it's interesting because, like, as a kid, you never think about that stuff. You're like, oh, that's just how it is. But then they're like, no, actually, we have a reason why everything is the way that it is. And it's like, oh.
Although one thing about it that I think might conflict with previously established canon, in Airbender, they said that, they learned earthbending from the badger moles, airbending from the sky bison, firebending from the dragons, and waterbending from the literal moon. And in this, they learned all the bendings from different turtle lions. Is that a discrepancy, or do you have a way to explain it?
No, I don't think it's a discrepancy. The turtle lions made bending physically possible in the world. Like, they're what made human beings be able to magic.
Yeah, like they turned them into wizards, and then the animals taught them how to wizard good.
Yeah.
And
then now that they had all these wizard powers, they're like, how do we use wizard powers? And so they watched nature and learned from that.
I'm
Tooch and Nina explain things on Nicky.
I'll totally buy that. Also, and speaking of turtle lions, we've mentioned Korra's reliance on Deus Ex Machina. It's not like Airbender didn't do that too.
I mean, like...
That was more forgiving because it wasn't just, like, one episode. And, well, maybe it was, but it took the full episode and it was, like, a whole thing.
I know a lot of people are really...
I think the problem...
There you go.
The problem with the lion turtle was it was introduced way too subtly. Like, I saw an explanation of, like, all the foreshadowing. Every single lion turtle foreshadowing was something, like, deep in the background, in, like, literal background art. And it's like somebody says the word lion turtle once, and I'm like, you can't do that over, like, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't even understand what he was saying.
Yeah, a lot of people are down on that. I don't really have a problem with it because
I don't have a problem with it.
It allowed them to have an ending that was more in line with the philosophy of the show.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not like...
It was necessary.
And they sort of took their time with it. Aang spent a whole episode just sitting on that turtle, thinking and examining where he was and he was going to do, And we knew the turtle taught him something. So, I wonder what the turtle taught him.
Yeah, so it's cool that we see them as more of an established thing, as like one of the most ancient creatures in this world, possibly the most ancient creature.
Yeah.
And that has always been like almost maybe like a creator god, or something akin to that.
Yeah.
So I think it was cool that they kind of tied up that loose end that bothered a lot of people, even though I bet there are people who were not satisfied by that, but I don't care. I'm not them.
No,
Whatever. I know the wand thing was just so beautiful. Everything about it was just gorgeous. It was pretty to look at. The music, the character designs were great. The story itself was great. It was a great origin story for this whole world and like the whole meaning of the Avatar and why it exists and why we need it. And how like it's kind of an unnatural thing, because when we're first introduced to the idea of an Avatar in the first series, like, oh, this is just the natural way of the world. But then in season 2, we sort of learned that no, that this is actually something that was created by someone's decision. This wasn't actually how the world was in the beginning.
For how clunky season 2's writing and story pacing was in terms of world building and expanding upon the Avatar world, season 2 did a whole lot of stuff super good.
Yeah, it's important. Like, I'd say I'd like to skip it, but you can't. Like, there's a lot of important things that happen in it.
And I love those spirits with, like, those couple of spirits that I think they just got some little kids to come in and voice them.
I know, they were so cute.
Those Spirited Away looking guys. I mean, that was a lot like Spirited Away. He had to sneak across a bridge that was only for spirits.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's probably rooted in the same mythology.
Oh, no, it's probably directly inspired. I mean...
And the one guy looked kind of like a...
Oh, and also, they probably love...
Yeah, Konetsuko and DiMartino love the shit out of Miyazaki, and they've made no qualms about saying, yeah, we take a lot of inspiration from him.
I mean, one of those little kid spirits looked like No Face combined with a tree.
That was my favorite one. Yeah. It was so cute.
Yeah, the whole wand thing played out very much like an ancient, kind of creation myth. It had like more than anything else a real like mythological edge to it that it just really worked. It was good stuff.
Then the rest of the season, like we've been saying, like I remember it's starting out really good and ending with a lot of stuff happening, but I think it was I don't even remember what was happening in the middle. Honestly.
There's a lot of Mako copping around, and like nobody believe in him, and then eventually they believe him. It's like we say that so much of the show could use more time. That could have been shorter, probably. I don't know. And of course, it's got Varric in it. You finish your point.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like everything I remember from season 2, like all that whole Varric turned out to be the entire plot B, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, but we didn't know that at first. But then it's like Varric's behind all this shit going on with Mako.
Yeah.
And that was pretty.
And
great.
actually, that stuff was pretty good because at first you think Varric is just this eccentric numbskull, but he turns out to be pulling the strings of the whole situation with a very believable motive, which is that of war profiteering, a very real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way they revealed that was really nice because, like, it wasn't...
Because first of all...
explicitly stated for a while. It was just kind of like, this guy's up to something?
But actually,
like,
very early on, he makes it clear that he's like, hey, here's our business deal. We can sell tanks to the Southern Water Tribe because if there's a war, I'm going to make money off of it. So there was actually... I wonder if that was either foreshadowing or actually a red herring that he was so open about his war profiteering that you didn't know how far it was going.
Yeah. But like...
Yeah, because even in the end, when he gets found out and arrested, he, to this day, he doesn't believe for a second he did anything wrong.
Nope.
So it's like, he's a very like, deep character.
Yeah.
He's almost... like, his morality is up to scrutiny because he's like, well, did he do anything wrong? Some people might not think so.
Yeah, like, I know the animators did an amazing job with the acting with him. Like, I mean, obviously the actor did an amazing job, but the animators, too, with his expressions. Like, when he's kind of has his quiet moments, you're like, what is going on
they don't,
in his head?
They don't telegraph that he's going to be a bad guy as much as they did with, say, Tarlok or Unalak. Like, Tarlok, they do, like...
where the music would go like...
yeah, and they would cut to him doing, like, some shifty eyes.
He'd be like...
the fucking Simpsons dog.
Yeah, like, he might as well be playing an organ in the basement.
You're like, don't worry, Korra, I won't do anything to your pal.
Like lightning bolts behind him. Whereas, I did not
just like resurrect Vincent Price.
You know that Tarlok's a bad dude. You know that Unalak's a bad dude. You don't know how much of a bad dude Varric is going to be. It took me by surprise.
Yeah.
Is he a bad enough dude to rescue the president? We don't know.
No, but he was a bad enough dude to try to kidnap him.
Yes!
But but Varric was just so insanely funny.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it.
Oh,
There's like so many... It's just like,
Judy,
I'm hiding the one place where he could never find me. Inside Ping Ping! And then he comes out of the platypus bird and just, how we doing? With like the like cool guy finger point. And then even later, is it like when they're arguing in the police interrogation room, it's like Mako, you're a beat cop, get back on the beat and get out of the way of police for you. And he just rises up from the bottom, who's hungry? It's like he's completely disconnected to the situation.
Yeah, like he's...
Also, the two buddy cops were great.
Oh, the asshole cops?
Yeah.
Yeah. With like the one of them, they were like freaking... Yeah, they're like your standard buddy cops. One of them had an afro.
I know, but like the one thing about that I didn't like was... Lynn is way smarter than to trust those idiots. I was like, why
That's
is
actually
she
true.
trusting these guys? They're obviously bad cops in more ways than one, and yet and it makes her look dumb. You know, we saw her be like super awesome and super responsible in season 1. Season 2, she's barely there, and we only see her trust these idiots that are so obviously not good people. That I didn't
That's
like.
true. That's another step backwards because the
like
police force was depicted as really competent in the first one. Even, when she resigned and she had the replacement guy got played, but he wasn't irresponsible.
I think that was probably just like that's the pitfall of the genre they were going for, because it's always like, one cop like needs to go too far in order to, like, no one believes like the mayor's gonna have my ass if you keep running around like this. Give me your badge and gun.
What was the bit from Fairly Odd Parents? Loose cannon cop who doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Loose cannon
cop doesn't play by the rules. Also, like, Lynn probably... I have to imagine maybe Lynn was just like everybody else and just didn't like Mako that much.
I guess.
Like, this kid's a tool bag. He's not gonna go around trying to freaking save the damn city. You're not Batman. Get out of my fucking office.
But neither are those other two jerks, and they're like the head detectives. They're like in charge of all the investigations. And they're corrupt cops. And they're right under her nose.
Were they corrupt or were they just lazy and
they
shitty?
Were just stupid. Yeah.
They were stupid too, but they were also just like, they weren't interested in actually pursuing justice. They were interested in their own career, kind of,
Well, that's less corrupt and more your typical cop.
Yeah, but if Lin Bei Fong is like, the Gordon of this town, she should have been like, no, I don't trust these idiots. I can't fire them because of political shit, but I don't trust them.
Because even, like, Bullock was a more competent cop than these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Bullock's great. Harvey Bullock's awesome.
Harvey Bullock, like, I've been watching that show, I was like, are you sure that's not John DiMaggio?
Oh, dude, if they haven't really done much with Harvey Bullock since the animated series. If they were to bring him back in something, I'd demand DiMaggio play him.
Oh, you gotta. One thing I want to point out about season 1 when we had all the pro bending is that the announcer is like this ridiculous posing anime idiot. He's got he's like doing these crazy like lean back pointing poses, and he's got like the swirly fingertip that nobody else in this fucking show has.
He's great.
Isn't he also just the narrator of the show itself?
Well, he's the announcer of the show.
That's Jeff Bennett. No, the announcer is the guy who's Shiro, played by Jeff Bennett. He's like, last time on Legend of Korra, was a jerk, and Mako is still boring.
And Nolan ate some noodles.
No, but the guy who's like round one, like on the actual stage with the microphone. And then there's the ref who was played by Tom Kenny doing an accent, which I always like. Like, I love Flambeau. because I love Tom Kenny doing an accent.
Tom Kenny's great.
And speaking of 1 degree of separation from Tom Kenny, Tom Kane, voice of Professor Utonium, was the judge who Korra bad cop, worst cop with Naga.
Oh, that was just like, I don't give a fuck.
Like,
I was like, Korra's like, wait, Korra,
I don't want anything, but Naga wants to eat you. It's like, neither of you are the good cop here.
Yeah, I'm like, Korra, what are you doing? You silly. Your brain is just fried. Poor thing.
What do you guys think of Iroh being back in the series?
I liked it, although I think his replacement voice actor for Mako somehow got worse since Airbender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
How did that happen?
Well, I guess because his friend, Mako's been dead longer, so his friend hasn't been able to hear his voice in years.
His voice is forever immortalized in animation, and also those Conan movies.
Yeah. I don't know. He was Splinter.
He was Splinter in the
TMNT movie.
In that Ninja Turtle movie that no one saw.
It was actually like a follow-up to the original series or something. It was weird. Anyway. But yeah, Iroh...
But it came out of nowhere, so nobody was sure if it was. But yeah,
yeah.
Do you guys
we'll
think
talk
that...
more about it in our Ninja Turtles episode.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that Iroh's was written... His part in Season 3 of Airbender was minimized due to Mako's passing? Because he was barely in it. He was in it a lot, but he never spoke. And you wonder if they minimized him because...
Oh, absolutely. I believe that absolutely, that they minimized
of course.
his role. Although it was probably convenient for them because they were like, oh, great, he's in jail for most of it anyway. It works out, sadly.
Yeah, but it really did feel like they put off having him speak for as long as they could.
They did.
Yeah.
They're like, the kids will forget.
yeah. Whereas now it's just like Iroh's everybody's favorite character.
Pretty much.
Let's just put him in.
Because
it's
not
believable
that, not that
enough.
Other Iroh though.
Okay, here's something I want to talk about.
Fan service Iroh.
Yeah, it's so Here's the thing.
Okay.
Dante Basco is really miscast as him.
Yeah,
the voice doesn't fit. It's the exact same fucking voice.
Yeah.
And why is Dante Basco, out of all the actors to return from the original show, why is it him? Like, he's not a bad actor, but there's like a weird cult of personality that seems to have formed around
it's
that
because
guy
Zuko
recently.
was the most loved character in the original series. Yes.
I guess.
Pretty much more.
Well, he's the most loved for certain demographics, like that his character archetype. People attach to that type of character.
He was the most fuckable.
Well, no, I mean, and he was a
too.
great character.
He was,
and a lot of people liked him.
He was tragic.
He was a tragic character. He had an amazing arc.
Everybody hugged the tragic sad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just such a disconnect, and like you could feel the stunt casting. It was really, that did not work.
Yeah, because
on the plus side, he didn't come back to voice Zuko.
Yeah, because General Iroh is old. Because Dante Basco, I know Dante Basco's like a grown-ass man,
forever young,
but he doesn't sound like a grown-ass man, and you put him voicing what's supposed to be a grown-ass man, and it's like that doesn't look right.
Yeah, he was cast great as Zuko. He just didn't work as Iroh.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was too weird. It was too obvious what they were doing.
And even but then honestly, just while we're on Iroh himself, like as a character, regardless of his voice, like I'm like, where, like now that we bring up Iroh, I suddenly realize where's Iroh?
Yeah, he's just gone. I mean, what is he, the international military or whatever?
He's the general of the United Forces.
United Forces. So, like...
It's like if the UN had an army, it'd be
It's
him.
like if the UN did anything.
Yeah. I mean...
Burn on the UN, I guess.
Well, no, the UN deserves some burn. So, yeah. But...
Yeah, I mean, he had some cool fight scenes when he's, like, taking down those planes.
He
wasn't a waste of a character. It was just...
It was just weird. Like, I honestly, like, I don't really care about Zuko's grandchild. More as I care about, like, his kid.
We haven't seen the new Fire Lord.
We haven't seen the Fire Nation.
They didn't even drop. Up until the end of season 3, I just assumed that Zuko was still the Fire Lord. But then he's like, "Oh yeah, my daughter, the Fire Lord," and I'm like, "What?"
Oh,
yeah, that's the thing is they still call him Lord Zuko. It might be like I
how
knew
even
that. Bill Clinton is still Mr. President.
Yeah, I don't remember how I knew this, but I think I knew it. I think I read it on some kind of like material stuff.
Like when he mentioned that,
he wasn't the Fire Lord
anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I want to see the Fire Nation, because out of all of the nations, that one was the most messed up and the one most in need of change. And that's the one that's probably the most radically different, I hope, from how it was in the original series.
Yeah, it'll be such a waste if they don't do a lot with the Fire Nation.
Yeah, because it's like, it was a fascist nation, and now it's free. Right?
The first season was like Republic City. Second season was like the water tribes. Yeah. This season was more the Earth
and
Kingdom.
Some air stuff.
And the air stuff. So this season,
I felt more than anything, season 3 was air
more
stuff.
Fire Nation.
Yeah. Well, we also did get to go back to the Earth Kingdom,
Bossing Say, and see that nothing has improved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except there's now did you catch there was a Bosco airport?
What? Oh no.
Yeah, it's like there was an announcement. It's like the Avatar's airship is docking in Bosco Airport.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, all this stuff with the bear was like, yeah. But we also got to see a new city in the Earth Kingdom too. So like, we got to see something.
The Metal City, so fun.
Such a cool place. So yeah, we definitely need to visit the Fire Nation, because that's the nation I'm most curious about. Like, what happened?
Lameo, Hotman.
Like, are they better? Are there like resistance groups? Are there still like fascist sympathizers? Like, what's going on?
How hot and badass is the Fire Lord? Is she super hot? Is she mega hot? I don't know.
She's probably kind of old if her son is already got.
Are you saying old people can't be hot?
Lynn?
No, I'm not saying old people can't be hot, but I'm just like, making sure that you realize that she's not.
Yeah, we're not looking for like Azula, but even hotter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know it's not going to be Azula.
Yeah, where the hell is she too? That's another interesting thing.
I think she's like, she was in.
In the comics, she was just in jail.
I thought she was like crazy.
Oh, well, she was in a psyche jail place.
Yeah, it's like a psych ward.
Yeah, so
in the nut house.
You know who else was hilarious, even though she only had one line, was the president's wife. Where like during the movie, it's like they've nailed this leader so well. Like she's like just really wanting to fuck.
Yeah,
I forget the line, but she just really wanted to jump on his bones.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
More season 2. Anything else with season 2?
Boomy was in season 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of Boomy in season 2, which I like. When season 2 is on, I only watch like the first 4 or 5 episodes before just kind of falling off on it.
You weren't excited. I remember I sat you down.
I wasn't
and made
especially.
you watch it, and you were like,
I wasn't especially excited about it, and I was also, I think, busy with work. I think that may have been around the time I started that graveyard shift job. So TV was a pain in the ass for me to catch up on, especially if the network wouldn't put it on demand.
Yeah, but,
which I think they were doing.
Yeah, they were doing.
Well.
I remember I came home for break or whatever, and I sat you and Lucy down, like, you guys gotta watch it, it's great. And you guys watched it, and you're like, eh. And then you just had, even though more episodes were on, you just didn't have any desire to watch it.
Yeah, I just wasn't feeling it at the time, and I was also like feeling that like Boomy should be funnier and more interesting, but I liked him better this time around.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Boomy. Boomy's great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's a great, like, he takes a lot from his dad, in a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also really liked their exploration of the dynamic between adult siblings. That's not something you see
Oh
a
yeah,
lot.
that was great. That was that was another really good part of season 2.
That was
when they were just like, essentially like, Dad liked you more, and then just like total sibling arguing.
It's like, you ran off to find yourself and left Mom alone.
It's like, jeez.
And it's like, holy fuck.
And like,
is it Thanksgiving already?
You were Dad's favorite so much you didn't even fucking notice. You prick.
Yeah, like, Dad didn't do shit
that kind
with
of, like,
us.
Aang is, being a former Avatar, depicted in such an nearly completely positive light by everybody else, that the idea of actually, focusing on, like, any kind of, like, failings that he did have. He was a very flawed father.
Yeah, and, that made me want to see Katara more, because we haven't seen Katara at all this whole time since the beginning, and it's like, what did that do to their relationship? Because here you have this amazingly powerful waterbender woman married to the Avatar, and now she's burdened with the responsibility of bearing his children in order to further the air people. And, she can't do anything else. She has to have a bunch of babies. There's no option. She was going to have babies until she had an airbending child. And Tenzin was the last kid they had. They went through 2 kids before they finally got... So imagine all the pressure. Katara couldn't be political or do any of the things she wanted to do because she had to be the Avatar's wife. And,
Pema's got the same thing. Pema's, in a much shorter time, had 4 kids. And, they touched about this in the first episode. There is a pressure for, her to make more airbenders, but she's like, I just want one kid who isn't an airbender. I want one kid who I can kind of relate to. Yeah. And, with Aang's kids, you have to imagine, no matter how much he loved his kids, there is an unavoidable sense of disappointment he must have had that they weren't airbenders.
Yeah, it's like, like the whole king's heir thing. You have the wife and it's like, oh, here's this daughter. That's not going to help you. What do we do now? More babies? And and their first child wasn't even a bender at all. Which must have been so hard.
Yeah, like, I would love to see more... I hope that they haven't completely blown the load of them wanting to explore that with that stuff in Season 2, because it's so... It has the potential to be so interesting, because it's such a interesting dynamic, and so much, like, internal conflict that's really... It's a lot of resentment that you feel that they should all be above, but they simply can't.
No.
Because
their father was the most important human being.
And it's resentment that derives from things that are completely out of their control. It's like we said with Amon. Bending is genetic. It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah. And I really want to see what Katara and Aang's relationship was like as adults when all these pressures came into the forefront and Aang was off doing stuff all the time. He probably couldn't be home most of the time anyway. And Korra...
Yeah, also because he was building Republic City.
Yeah, he was building Republic City. He was rebuilding this whole world and doing all this stuff. And Katara was just home having babies.
It's a matter of, balancing your career and your family. And for him, both of those were so important. In a way, his family was part of his career of rebuilding the Air Nation.
Yeah.
And I guess, it's not hard to imagine that part of it fell to the wayside because his first 2 children didn't meet that goal of his.
Yeah.
Again, for just because of a shitty roll of the dice. And even then, to say it's shitty is not fair to anybody there because, the pressure of continuing the Air Nation is, for example, something that Tenzin inherited at birth.
Yeah.
A burden that falls completely on him. It's something they explored a bit in Season 2 in The Fog of Lost Souls. He's got this huge burden that, he didn't ask for. No. But it's, incredibly important because it's an entire race of people that falls on him.
And, like, there's that scene where they visit the Air Temple and Kaya and Boomy are with them. And the Air Oculites go up to them like, who are you people? And they're like, we're the Avatar's children. It's like, the Avatar had other children?
Yep.
Yeah, so...
And no wonder Katara is in the South Pole. Like, she probably lived in Republic City because that's where Aang was based. But, like, notice she's not living there anymore. She's in the South Pole. She's done with that shit. I really want her to come back and do more stuff because there was that scene in Season 3 where it was like, Zuko knows Aang the most. Of all the people who knew Aang, Zuko knew him the most because he was the best friends. And I was like, what about Katara? Doesn't Katara know Aang the best?
Katara was his wife. Here's the thing.
Katara found him. Katara discovered him. Katara encouraged him. Aang would not have become the Avatar he was if Katara didn't, like...
Katara ended the 100-Year War.
She did!
And also, unlike Katara, Zuko doesn't know what Aang's dick looks like. I don't know
Does
how
it
much
have
that
an
matters,
arrow on
but
it? We'll never know.
Oh, God.
Yeah, if we're trying to create a complete picture of somebody who's no longer with us, maybe that's a factor. I'm sorry. I don't know why I
Way
just
to go.
brought that up. But yeah, like that seemed like a weird thing to do, to kind of ignore Katara's influence, especially in a show that has done, as we mentioned, I guess an hour ago, because we've been going for a long time, but this is a big show.
Yeah.
It's a pretty show with some pretty good feminist stuff in it, and it does seem like they kind of fucked up by doing that.
Yeah, she needs to come back. Like, Katara is like one of the greatest waterbenders ever. She was such an important character in the original series, and it's like everybody's like, "Oh, we're Aang's kids, Aang's kids, Aang's kids." It's like, no, you're Katara's kids too. Katara was a crazy important person. Which makes me believe that once they grew into adults, she didn't get to do anything because she had to be a mom.
Yeah, it's probably, again, them being Aang's kids is probably part of the burden of their legacy.
Yeah, Katara doesn't have a statue. Toph has a statue. Zuko has a statue.
Man, what is it with Nickelodeon shows having the parents be more interesting than the kids? It's like we were saying
They're
before.
Adults and they've seen things.
It's like we were saying before about Rugrats and Rocket Power.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon shows are really good at accidentally making extremely compelling grown people in shows about kids.
Yeah, that's something I fell into with season 2 and even season 1. I'm like, I like all these adults way more than I like Team Avatar.
These shitty teenagers, like especially with Korra, it's like they're teenagers now, so they don't even have that child innocence anymore.
Yeah.
They're just dumb and hormonal.
They're just
Except for Asami, who's flawless and has to put up with all.
I know, Asami's a goddess.
I love Asami.
Yeah, season 1, my favorite characters are Tenzin and Lin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, it's not that I don't like Korra, I do. She's just not as cool as these people because they have such an interesting history.
I hope that if they don't delve into this stuff next season, like with like Aang's parenting and stuff, I hope they at least do some more Dark Horse comics touching on it.
Yeah.
I haven't
I
read
still
any
need to
of
read
them.
those.
Me too.
I understand
that
the Promise is kind of boring, the Search is fantastic, and there's one more that's ongoing.
Yeah.
Because the Search is what we thought the Promise was going to be. It's the search for Zuko's mom.
Yeah, and that's great. I read the first issue of that, or like the first volume of that, and it's so good. It makes everything makes so much more sense. Like, it makes everything better once you learn about this stuff.
And the third one is apparently longer form. I think it's graphic novels, and 2 out of the 3 have been released.
Yeah, they're like 3 parts. Like both the Search and the Promise, they're two 3-part stories, and each part is like a little mini graphic novel. So if you put them together, it's like a full-size graphic novel, kind of big graphic novel.
Aren't they doing something where it's like bridging the gap between Last Airbender and Korra, where it's like they're older? I could have sworn.
That might be what this new one, The Rift, is.
Yeah. Okay, so
We'll find out about
we haven't even talked about like Rava and Vatu.
I'm probably going to split this up into 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's just so much to talk about. We knew this coming in.
Toon Goons Book 1, Wizards. Toon Goons Book 2, Aang's dick.
And then Book 3, I guess, is like, sorcerers. We go back to wizards.